All right, I'm showing just a little bit after the hour, so I think we're going to go ahead. I know we've got some people still continuing to sign on, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome again to our November meeting as we continue to do this in isolation. We had a thought that we're going to be able to start thinking about getting back in the chapter hangar. That's not going to happen based upon the governor's new proclamations. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off the agenda. We'll talk a little bit about our etiquette. We'll cover our general reports. I don't know that we're going to have much on the safety corner. We've got a Mr. Gizmo today. We'll talk a little bit about our election and you guys, your contributions. Something from national, talk about projects, upcoming programs, and then our featured speaker who's on the line with us right now. So don't say anything really bad. Dave Hirtner from Fisher Flying Products. And again, we haven't required. I've got a couple of placeholders in case we ever need some things to talk about in terms of hints for home builders. But we've had such full meetings that we really, I think we used one the very first meeting, and I've got some that I've got queued up for us, but we haven't really required them yet. And by the way, if you see a half a person over here to my side, that's Mike Short. We're doing a little go-to meeting training with him because he's going to be taking the reins and doing this by himself for the VMC meetings. I won't be there in this December program to help him, so he's learning how to do this. Okay, I think, and it's really hard. Other than Dave, do we have any new members out there? New people who are on the call with us? I see some names that I do not recognize, and speak up and unmute your mic and introduce yourself if you don't mind. Anybody willing? Okay, I can't. Oh yeah, Maurice. Go ahead, Maurice.
Maurice Gunderson, looking to move to Independence and live on there. And I'm a member of EAA 393, which is our chapter at Buchanan Field in Concord, California. And so I figured I should join 292 as well.
We'd love to have you, Maurice. So welcome to our meeting. Who else we got out there that is new or on with us for the first time? Anyone want to speak up? All righty. I know we got some very shy people out there because I definitely see some names that I don't recognize. Oh, somebody volunteered.
This is Al.
Yeah.
I have in here with you. We were wrestling trying to get your attention and get the mute to come off. Go ahead, okay. Stan.
Stan Rolfness. I just joined Independence, and I have an RV 7A.
Stand more than 6 feet away. So
I'm not a builder, so I'm just trying to learn as much as I can.
There's the infamous feedback loop. Well, welcome to our group, Stan. I appreciate it. Al's a great teacher over there, so we'll get you signed up. Make sure if you haven't, we'll get the membership packet to you and get you on board.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else willing to introduce themselves? This is so weird doing it virtually. I totally understand. Okay, if we have no volunteers, we're going to continue to move on then. Hey, for those of you who are new, we do have we're on video, the video conferencing circuit. So we ask respectfully that you try to mute your microphone if you're not talking. So because you'll find that you'll hear background conversations, you'll hear tapping of keyboards. So we really appreciate you muting the mic. And for those frequent offenders, I actually have the ability to mute you on this end. So if you look down and you find yourself muted and you didn't do it, it might have been me. It might have been that there was some background noise coming through your microphone. We really, as best we can, we want this to be interactive. We want people to ask questions, especially when we get to our featured speaker. He's hoping that you're going to ask a lot of good questions about the builds, about his plane, about the company, and so we really do want to encourage participation. This is much like flying in the pattern, right? You gotta wait for other people to finish their statements before you cut in. So it's just like CTAF, wait and then try to break in, and so that we want you to speak, but it doesn't help if everybody's talking over everyone else. By the way, we have over on your control panel there, you got a little chat window. It looks like a little balloon. And we try to monitor those. If you're having trouble with your microphone, or if you want to ask a question or get a word in, or you can't get a word in edgewise, type it in and we'll try to get it pointed out, and we'll try to get it answered. And I think all of us are now, we're all aware that bad Wi-Fi does not make a great experience. So I think most of us are doing that. And again, these are tough times. The board, myself, everybody involved is doing the best we can to work through it. So we appreciate your patience, and we'll continue to move ahead. And again, you're going to hear multiple times, we really, and Rich will probably mention this later, we really rely upon everyone's input for the newsletter. We have a great newsletter. It's really, really taking off. We get positive comments about it all the time, but it's all dependent upon you guys giving us information and data and content that can be shared, whether that's video links, whether that's photos, whether it's trips, write-ups, anything that you can do that you think is interesting, we would love to be able to share. Okay, we're going to cut right. Go ahead, Rich.
Do you want to also talk about the website a little bit, or are you going to do that later?
I'm going to do that later. Yep, going to do that later. But well, you know what? What the heck? You've already broached the subject. You all know that we've got EAA292.org website. And we've got kind of a small working group putting new ideas together to do two things. One, to get better content, to include new recent photos, to get some write-ups, to get some links and some videos. And we're also trying to make it, a little easier to navigate. So there's 2 points of this. One, we want more content for the website. Two, we're looking for anyone who would be willing to help us out, especially anyone that has a creative flair, creative artistic capability. We've got John Coyer and Steve Sands in the background doing the heavy lifting of the mechanics of it, but what they want to do is they want to have people tell them kind of what to do and how to organize it, and then let them do it. So we're really looking for some people to help us with the content side up on the front. So if you are interested, and I'm going to come back on the volunteer side, please reach out to me or reach out to one of the board members. We'd love to have you helping us. It's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of time. And it's something that you can do, obviously remotely, all through email and text and so forth. So yeah, we're making an effort to update our website a little bit. Okay, kicking into the reports. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for that reminder. Membership, John, Rich, or John or Rich, why don't you guys take us through where we're at?
I'll jump in for the.
I'll take it, I guess.
Hey, John.
A classic example of stepping on each other. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rich.
All right, I'll run through the membership numbers. As of my current count, we have the regular annual membership paid up is I've got 182. Lifetime is still at 24, and the 7 students. We've got categories now to provide for family, because it is a family membership. So if you would like anybody else in your family to receive content or receive the emails, you can forward those to us, and we can add them in as family members. We currently have 14 signed up for that, and I know there's a lot more that probably we could add to that total. So for voting members, we're at 213, so we're currently emailing out about 200, around 230 is on our email list currently.
Great. And we put the chart up here, and this is really, I have to say, in my opinion, this is really nice growth considering that we're through this COVID period. So again, it's passing the word along. It's we've got some Facebook presence. We've got our website presence, and a lot of it is just word of mouth, getting people to the meetings, realizing what they can do as parts of members of the chapter. So thank you to everyone who's bringing in these new members. This is about, if we're projecting it out for the year, about 20% growth. And, you know, we got to be super, super happy with that. Thanks, John. Vince, any update on the facilities? And obviously, we're going to be kind of going into more of a shutdown mode here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think you probably covered that. You did in the executive meeting, but just remember the facility is open. You can work in it, but when you do, wear masks, social distancing, all those good things. It's like any other business, which I understand we're going to go into some sort of an extended, more restrictive lockdown here statewide. So just keep that in mind. Shop's running. The belt sander in the shop was dead. Now it's alive. The only thing I've got left to do is, I guess there's a problem with the drill press. If anybody encounters any problems with any equipment, please let me know, because if you don't tell me, I can't fix it. If you need anything, any kind of supplies or whatever that go with the equipment that we have, let me know so that we can get it. Other than that, that's about it.
Thanks, Vince. I will add in, we had some feedback from some members who said that our housekeeping has deteriorated a little bit during this COVID emergency. So the board is looking back in to try to reinvigorate that a little bit, to try to make sure that some of the facilities are kept up a little bit cleaner. So we're working on that. So if you have concerns or questions or comments, make sure that you get them back to Vince or get them back to me, and we'll try to make sure they get addressed. Okay, Dave, youth, anything you want to talk about?
Sure, as soon as I unmute myself. The Zenith 701 that the students built about 2 years ago has been sitting fallow because it didn't have a cowl. It now has a cowl on it. Thanks to Bill McGlagan and Henry Bartle, that's all been taken care of. We're getting very close to being able to fly the hours off on that. The EAA 292 cannot do that, but we've come up with a mechanism. So hopefully that airplane will be for sale, weather providing, early next year. So that's a good thing. As far as the Teen Aviation Weekend, which we usually hold in the fall, we're going to look into doing that in the spring. We're on hold for the Young Eagles in June. Who knows what's going to be happening by June? So everything's pretty much on hold. Al, do you want to address what you're doing in the hangar on the Saturday build?
Sorry about that. I had my hands full there. We're currently building. We've got 3 kids here today. We're going to take it on a case-by-case basis. We're still masking. We're still washing. We're doing all those preventative things we can. The fuselage is coming along. I don't know if you can see behind it. Probably all you see is the tail cone. But we do have the fuselage coming along.
Hey, Al, it looks like the Starship. Looks like Elon Musk's Starship back there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So as you can see, we're working. We're hoping today to have the roll bar and the back bulkheads installed. And we just acquired from John Horn. He sold his 12, and he's got a one full-length table that we can set both the tail cone and the main fuselage on. So he's donated that to us. So in the coming weeks, we'll be swapping out some tables here.
Well,
And
thank
we'll
you, John Horn.
Yeah. So
All right, Al. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I was going to share that we're supposed to have a fuselage coming along here anytime. I'm sorry, the fuselage finish kit. I think Bruce said it's probably a couple, 3 weeks out yet, so we're feverishly trying to get that done before that kit comes in.
Great. Thank you.
Would you unmute me? Yeah, would you go ahead and mute me, please?
I will.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is Debbie. Al, is Zach there?
Who?
Zach?
Zach, yes, he's a. Raise your hand, Zach.
Would you have him come closer?
He's tall. You might have to kneel.
Mike, am I next?
Yep, you're next, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, for those of you who are new and joining us, we have 2 Ray Scholarship students, and one is Kristen Taylor. She has passed her written exam, and she soloed in October. And Zach is our second scholar. And Zach, I have a hat to present to you. I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if you can you see this? Oops. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Zach,
I have your hat, and someday we're going to meet, and I'll be able to give you your hat. And it says Ray Aviation Scholarship. So we're really proud of you, and thank you for being at the build today.
Thanks,
I'm jealous.
Hey, and those of you who don't know, actually, these are our second and third scholars. Our first one has already passed his private, and he's currently working on building up hours toward his instrument and commercial and everything else. So, yeah, we've got a great youth program. And thank you, Deb, for all your work you're doing on the Ray Scholarship.
You're welcome.
All right, Mike Short's sitting here with me. Mike, do you want to cover anything at all?
I think we're pretty good.
All right, we're going to be passing out a flyer with the newsletter that talks about drug interaction. It's something that just came out from the FAA. It talks about especially some of the antihistamine interactions. So take a look at it if you get a moment. Okay, as usual, we do have a contribution by our Mr. Gizmo. I don't know if Ron's on the line, but we're going to go and show what he's struggling with this month.
Well, Mr. Gizmo's here, another interesting story, to say the least. So my toolbox is down in the baggage compartment, as well as my seat cushions and other metal, both of my feet. And I got to get a tool, and I decided that, I'm 5'6". I can just squeeze back there. So I reached back there and to get the tool, and I felt something really funny happening. Oh, what was that? Oh, the plane is tipping. I come up out of the plane and look around, and my gosh, the plane was tipping. Ooh, no damage. I changed the weight and balance suddenly when I moved to the forward of the airplane. Oh my gosh, was that close call. My gosh, this tool started to roll. an indication that the plane was zipping. I was saved. No, the airplane didn't touch the ground, but oh, don't put your toolbox and the other stuff in the back of the airplane when you're doing an inspection. Thanks, tool. I really love you. No damage done, just a lesson learned. No, I wouldn't recommend a swivel seat either. Here's my brackets that I put together for the tail section of my RV9A. A couple of 2x4s either side, plate, and some carpeting, and adjustable to a RV10 if I decide to go that route. There you have it. So make those brackets nice and sturdy, and you'll be really happy to say the least. And don't forget the bumper guards for the heads. Until next time, Mr. Gizmo says, have a great day and be safe.
Thanks again, Ron. We really appreciate your contributions. It's always enjoyable to see your trials and tribulations that you're going through. All right, so as thank you for everybody who voted in our elections, and thank you for all the officers who agreed to run for another term. So this is kind of where we're at. Everybody got reelected. Since there was no one else running, it wasn't a big surprise. But we asked a couple of questions at the end, and we got some really nice responses. So thank you to everyone who sent back the words of encouragement about how we're doing, how things are moving along. We really appreciate that. Sometimes, yeah, we just don't know if what we're doing is the right thing. So when you give us some of the feedback, we really, really do appreciate it. The other thing that we got back on the question was there was a half a dozen or so people who actually stepped up and said, I'd like to help more with the chapter. I'd like to be a little bit more involved. We will be reaching out to you. We really appreciate you're taking the initiative to get involved. So you will expect a phone call or an email. You should, and we will be looking to get you guys help a little bit. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do the national stuff. No, I think I'll skip it. We had a nice little video from national. We may come back to that. We've already commented. We really, really need newsletter and now website input. So we're pushing. We're pushing on that. Please, if you've got something you can share, do it. We got some things are happening on our chapter projects. The Zenith 601, it's not a done deal, but Jerry, why don't you give us an update on that if you're on the microphone?
Sure. There is a prospective buyer out in Junction, Colorado, and I think I'd be comfortable in saying he's actually going to come out and buy the airplane. He was already talking about bank transfers and how to do that. He sent out an IA to look over the airplane. Very favorable comments about the build quality and that. Reported back to the buyer. Buyer called me shortly later, just about a half an hour later, and he is going to be coming out with his wife to look at it this coming week. So I think we will see that transaction probably completed by the end of the week, minus working out how he's going to get the airplane back home.
Great. Thanks, Jerry.
You bet.
Ernie, if you got your mic, you want to talk about what's going on with the Kolb?
The Kolb is tentatively sold and will be delivered this coming Thursday to a fella in Arizona. And he's coming up to take it as is, and so that'll be the end of the Classic. The Pterodactyl is starting a new advertising campaign, and hopefully we'll be able to divest ourselves of that project. The two RV6s, that the local presently owned are somewhat, I would say, in limbo until we make a decision of what we're going to do with them and how we're going to deal with it. That's all I've got.
Fair enough. The other project that's affiliated is that we're working on is the flying club, and I think most of you guys know that the Independence Youth Flying Club has 2 aircraft. One, the Cherokee 140, that's up online and flying now, and the second one is a Cessna 172 that we're outfitting the panel. Well, we've got donations or discounts from Dynon. We've got a no-charge audio panel coming from PS Engineering, and we've been able to work out an arrangement with Avidyne for a new IFR radio. So the Cessna is going to be a full-up glass panel IFR trainer that will allow our students to move up from basic VFR up into more advanced training. Now, here's the rub. At this point, we're going to start looking for more donations to cover some of these expenses. You know, we still don't have a whole lot of people flying, so we're not seeing a huge revenue stream come in from the hourly yet. So Henry's going to be canvassing some of the people out there asking for donations or loans or whatever we can do. So we really are in a position where we need just a little bit more money to get us over the hump, to get us home. And the engine, the zero time 0300, it will be probably finished up this week or next week. So we're looking at having that plane potentially flying within probably 60 days, maybe even sooner. So a lot of stuff happening, and you'll be, if you're a member of the Flying Club or a sponsor to the Flying Club, you'll be seeing a notice coming out from me here pretty soon. Henry, did you have anything else you wanted to add? You're muted. Oh, he's good. He says he's good. Okay, before we go into our featured speaker, upcoming programs this month, we've got Dave Hirtner talking about Fisher Flying Products. Next month, we have Viking Engines. Jan Eggenfeller is going to give a presentation on their portfolio from the 90 horsepower up through the, I think it's 180 horsepower now. Dwight Hoover, who's on the line, I see, is going to present his Apex-powered 701 in January, so we're really excited about hearing about that. And by the way, just for those of you who remember, the 701 was a donated project to the chapter. Dwight bought that from us, and now has been strapping that Apex power on it. So it ought to be a really interesting presentation. We've got Lightspeed lined up for February, and then right now we're working on dates for these three. Hummel, Afford-A-Plane, and Cub Crafters are kind of, I'm going to call them all on deck, and Jerry and I are, continuing to work that. Once again, if you have an idea for somebody that you'd like to hear, a program that you'd like to, somebody you'd like to hear from, just as somebody has suggested Dave here at Fisher Flying Products, we'll reach out to them and try to make it happen. So if there's a silver lining to this virus thing, it's that we've been able to get some really, really outstanding programs and presenters, even though they may not be here, within the 100-mile radius, the hamburger radius. We've been able to reach out, and here Dave is up in Northeast, up in Canada, and yet we're going to be able to have him give us a presentation. So that's what's going on. And we're moving right into, and I think we're just about on time. So I'm not going to do a lot of introduction to Dave. He is the president of Fisher Flying Products. Many of you know Fisher from before when it was located down in the U.S. He's probably going to give you a little bit of a story about it. He's going to be doing some of the talking, and I'm going to be managing. He's asked me to have the website pulled up so he can kind of talk me through. So with that, Dave, I'm going to pass the baton over to you. And then as soon as it looks like I probably already lost your website because I was doing something else. I'll pull up your website and we'll be good to go.
No problem. Well, first of all, thanks, Mike, for inviting me. This is, I think, only my second meeting where I've done a Zoom meeting, and it's a great opportunity for me to reach out and talk to people about our company and what we offer. I'm not going to be I'm not nearly as famous as Paul Dye or some of these other speakers you've had, but I'll try to do my best. The other thing I want to do is send greetings from the London and St. Thomas chapter of the RAA. It is in Canada's equivalent to the EAA. And we hold our own meetings up here, and I wish we had as large a group as you do, but we have some interesting projects. I guess I'm going to start off with a brief history. Fisher's been around for about 35 years, started by Mike Fisher in Portsmouth, Ohio. And he basically created a line of ultralights that were part of the offshoot of the hang glider days of the crazy 80s. And he went with a little bit different tack. Him and Wayne Eisen were sort of in it early on, and they liked the geodetic construction technique that was used in the war, the Wellington bomber, and they saw the merit of being able to convert that into wood structures. And so Mike designed the 101, and that just hit a note. There was a lot of interest because it was an enclosed aircraft. It wasn't a hang glider. It was 3-axis control, enclosed airplane, a microlight airplane that they were able to fit into the 103 category. From there, they did the 202, which was the Cub lookalike, and basically the 101 went away. Nobody wanted it anymore. So that's when Wayne Eisen sort of came into play, and they designed the 303, sort of a low wing, together, and then immediately sort of had a falling out. Wayne wanted to call it the Minimax, and Mike Fisher wanted to stay with the line of naming that he had, the convention that he'd started, which was 101, 202, 303. And so they decided to part ways, and that was the beginning of Team Minimax, as far as I understand the story. And Wayne went and redesigned the wing to use compression struts in a different style, and the rest is history. The team's been around a long time, as well as Fisher. There was a large network of dealers for the Fisher line. Mike Makepeace down in Arkansas, and Gene and Darlene Hansen used to. There's a story there where Darlene's first husband, Irv, I believe his name was, they were dealers, and they wanted to buy the company from Mike, and then Irv got sick, and he made her complete the deal. He said, he made her promise, finish this deal and buy the company and do something with it. And so she did, and ended up marrying one of her employees, and it became, Gene and Darlene Hansen for, I think they were in business for 23 years in Edgeley, North Dakota. But all things, there was a good run, and they decided to retire. And so they just sort of pulled back and were offering only plans and fuel tanks and things like this. And a fellow from Ontario, near Toronto, who came out of a woodworking business, saw the opportunity to bring it up to Canada, and Paul Riedlinger was his name, and he went down, bought all the assets, and sort of resurrected the company in Brampton, Ontario. And sort of that's where I come in. I became involved because I was a airplane nut. I had built my own Vans RV-10 with a gear drives Corvette engine in it, and I had started making small improvements to the Vans design. One of the things that I designed was a rudder pedal set that eliminated the possibility of you applying the brakes when you were coming in on a crosswind landing. The geometry is such that in the Vans design that it's very easy to apply the brakes. And so I came up with a 2-tread design that retrofitted in, used the same geometry of the hoops. And I started selling that stuff and a few other items through Cleveland Tools. And one day at one of our RAA meetings, Paul Riedlinger was doing the same thing as I'm right now, presenting his product line. And I said, hey, you're a wood guy. Who makes your metal bits? And he said, I need a guy that makes metal bits. And so I put my hand up and we started working together. And after a couple of years of that, he had a few too many irons in the fire, and his wife wanted him to downsize. And so he asked me whether I wanted to buy the company. And that was 6.5 years ago, so almost 7 years ago that I did that. So basically, that's how I started off with Fisher. I didn't really, besides basic woodworking experience, I didn't have any real long-term affinity for wood, but I went in, trained, and Paul did a good job of teaching me how to make quality parts, and we kept the operation in his facility for a number of months before I brought it down from single seat 25 or 30 horsepower ultralights, FP202, FP303. The 404 is what looks like an ultralight, but it's too heavy, so it has to be built as a experimental single seat biplane. The 505 is a Pete and Pole lookalike parasol, and the 606 is supposed to look like a Cessna 150. The story was back when Gene and Darlene bought the company, Mike went and started designing 2-seat aircraft based on the single-seat designs that he had developed, and he really wasn't supposed to do that under the non-compete clause that he had signed, and ultimately ended up losing all the designs to Gene and Darlene. And that's why we have 14 instead of 7. Gene and Darlene then developed the Dakota Hawk, the Celebrity, and the Tiger Moth as independently designed aircraft. So we've got a broad range, everything from single seat to 2-seat tandems to 2-seat by. I've got a little bit of echo here, so I'm working with that. 2-seat by side by sides, and then we've got the biplanes. So and they're all roughly based on this geodetic design that builds very light, very strong box sections. And I've seen customers with wings. They were retiring an aircraft and wanted to destroy it and not sell it to somebody else, but he drove down with his car down the spar and couldn't break it. So these things are incredibly stiff and strong, resilient, and because of the nature of the wood, there's a give where there needs to be a give, and there's strength when you have the strength, and it's all on compressive effect. We make each kit independently. So our system is designed that we have a big book, bill of materials, each sheet's the part, pull the sheet, make the part, mark the part, check the part, put the part in the box. And we go through that for all of our designs, and we can put together a kit for a single seat in about just under 2 months, and we can do a full-blown quick build where we build a number of the components in about 3 months. And COVID's been great to us. There's lots of people that are getting green lighted on projects, wives that don't want their husbands to be in the house so often. And so we've been very fortunate to have our order board increasing instead of decreasing. So thank you to everybody who might consider one of our designs. Future product, I'll go through what's available in the kits. We provide a very comprehensive kit. You get all the wood, and basically it's all cut for you so that you would never have to use the table saw. You may have longer pieces that may be needed to fit to the plans, but you just have to use a chop saw and a sander and then fit things together, glue them together, clamp them, and the whole aircraft goes together with T88 two-part epoxy. We provide all of the hardware for the kit and all of the AN nuts and bolts. We make and shape all of the hardware. You just have to do final hole drilling, match hole, anything like that. And you may have to crimp Nico press sleeves, but we try to provide as much as possible all the Lexan. The covering is included, including the glue, but we let you take care of the finishing from that point on. We don't provide any upholstery, instruments, the engine, of course, although we are a dealer for a number of aircraft engine suppliers, and we put packaged steels together. Now, everybody looks at these wood aircraft and think they're kind of old school, and to an extent they are. And so we've been working on trying to bring a little bit of sort of new excitement and new blood into the mix. And you guys can still see me, I hope. You there, Mike?
We can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. My camera just clicked. Anyway, so what we're doing right now.
We're just locked up. So your image is frozen.
Is it? Okay. Well, we're going to have to go with the frozen image for a minute. We've got future products coming in that we're working on right now. We found a wooden aircraft design over in Italy that we are going to kit, and we're calling it the Fisher Aria. It's a two-place tandem, low-wing, retractable, cruises at 175 on a Rotax 100 horse. And another thing that we're working on right now is we're taking over the manufacture of the Cozy Carb. It's a line of water heating ice, carb ice protection, and it gets press fit to your 912 carb, and it flows coolant through a tube and heats the whole car body. as compared to heating the intake air. And so you don't lose any power. So we're going to be taking over the manufacture of those in the end of the year. We're waiting for some components and dies to arrive from the UK. So hopefully in the new year we'll be having that coming. And I've been working a lot recently on putting together electric propulsion packages under the name Electro Thrust for the market. I think the smaller aircraft, under 110 horse down to our small stuff in the 33 horsepower range is underserved. And I think a lot of guys want to consider it and move in that direction, but would really like to have a sort of complete package that's supplied to them and have somebody here in North America that can help them with the integration process of tying it into their airframe, whether that be engine mounts or battery shapes and things like this. So that's another sort of division of Fisher that we're going to be working to try to bring to fruition over the next year. So I'm going to cancel my, I'm going to reboot my camera.
Yeah, we noticed there's a couple of lags. There's a couple points where your internet seemed like it just paused for a few moments and then started up again.
Okay, just give me a second.
Yeah, no worries. And by the way, while Dave's working on his system there, if you have any questions, either put them in the chat window or we can try to field them. I know he'll probably prefer to take questions toward the end. And by the way, Dave, we have some people who are working on electric thrust or electric propulsion here right within our chapter, and I'm sure that toward the end they might have a couple of questions as well.
Well, I'm not having much success, so you're going to have to look at my stationary mug, and we'll just go with some questions. So ultimately, that's kind of what we're about. We've got sort of lots of irons in the fire. We have to stay alive. We put out, 10 to 15 kits, 20 maybe in a good year right now. And I sell all over the year, all over the world. I'm building a celebrity quick build right now for a guy in Chile. I've got a fellow serviceman from the U.S. who's living in Hawaii, who's building a Dakota Hawk. We're going to be finishing his kit for him, like 2 more sub kits. And I've got another gentleman from the UK who's ordered a quick build 303. So, and like I said, the phone has been ringing, so that's quite good news. And at that point, I'm going to open up to the group for questions, and hopefully I can answer.
Well, Dave, let me start off, because when we talked on the phone, I expressed, we have the kind of demographics of our chapter tend to be a little on the older side. And, we've had a lot of builders who've built RVs, they built Lancers, they built Rams, they built a lot of, faster glass airs. And we're picking up a tendency that some of these flyers want to step down. They want to go away from fast down to, fun flying, low and slow. Are you seeing that same trend? And is this, are some of your customers, is this what they're asking for?
Absolutely. A number of people have contacted me and said, hey, I've flown fast stuff, all my life. General aviation, corporate, jet jocks, you name it. And they just, let's be honest, aviation is a drug, and I'm just a pusher. And ultimately, they want to be able to get up there and get their fix. And that happens in 10 minutes, and it's better if you're flying slow.
Anybody have a, we're just going to kind of, iterate this a little bit. Is anyone out there with a question? I hear somebody's mic's off.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sure.
I'm fascinated by the electrification of GA, like many others are. I'm wondering if the packages you're going to develop for your aircraft are going to be available for, I don't know, the general home building public.
That's the idea. I want to develop generalized packages that I act as a resource integrator for not only my own aircraft, but for all the other aircraft out there.
And what kind of, I mean, I get the impression from the stuff that was sent out that the mission, for lack of a better purpose, the mission of this, the kind of electric propulsion you're looking at, is basically short hop pleasure flying 1 hour. Can you get into any details of like maybe recharging at destinations or how that would work?
Well, you can pack along your own cord. And what I've found is, finding a 220 outlet, at an airport is not an easy task. But 110 is. So you're going to, if you're looking at your mission profile, you're going to be flying out there. You're going to fly your hour out there. And if you're going for, a lunch or a hamburger or whatever, then you're going to range extend by plugging in and at that location. So you're going to gain some, but you're not going to charge it all up again to fly the same amount back. At least I don't see that happening right now. Now, the big gain we're seeing is in the range extension. Friends of mine are being very much surprised at how much they're getting out of their batteries when they fly. At what started it off as something that might have been 45 minutes is now pushing out to over an hour with a half an hour reserve. So to be honest, most pilots fly for under 45 minutes. They tend not to go too far. They tend to fly by themselves. And so my goal is to meet the biggest mission profile out there and not try to satisfy everyone. So if you can fly for 45 minutes to an hour in the morning and, get your fix and then come back, land, plug in, and recharge and be able to fly in the evening again, because again, a lot of these airplanes, smaller airplanes, are, fair weather flyers, then it meets 90% of the need out there.
One question I have from a safety standpoint, my last question, is, especially in the light planes that are electrified, if you have regenerative generation capability, if you lose battery power and you're high enough, is a dead stick landing kind of eliminated where you should have just enough a shot of power, maybe a mile or two out from the airport to kind of normalize your power profile when landing?
Sure, that's entirely possible. It all works in the battery management system and the system controllers, so that it is sophisticated enough that it can convert over to charging capability when required.
Hey, Dave, could you comment on the 3 packages or the target packages you're looking to develop?
How do I say this? The 3 packages are based on my need, my current need. I need a package that flies an ultralight, 103 ultralight. And my ultralights are powered by Polini engines right now, 36 horsepower. So a 25 kilowatt system is about 33 horsepower, and that should fly that aircraft just fine. Then I'm looking at, I've got larger aircraft like the Classic and the Super Koala that are 582 based. And so I need 50 to 65 horsepower. So we go to 50 kilowatts, which gives me 66 horsepower. And then the holy grail is, and everybody wants to do this, unless you're a lover of Rotax, is to replace the 912. And I want to create a system that does that.
And I think your target was what, 107 horsepower, or that was kind of what?
Well, that's 80 kilowatts. So if I can, so I can go 75 and be at 93 horsepower. But if I'm going to put a system out that is better than or equals the performance of the 912, then I have to go over 100. And that's, the next number up is 80. So 80 kilowatts is 107 horsepower.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Yeah, David, my name is Steve Sands. So thank you very much for your presentation. What
No
have you taken the first package, the ultralight package, to a point where you can price it?
Just finalizing right now with my suppliers on, 1, 5, and 20 systems pricing. So yes, in the next short while, I will be able to provide those systems and a number that I can count on.
Okay, thank you.
Can you ballpark just order of magnitude, Dave, where you think those, at least the low end's going to come out at?
The low end's going to be, if I was just buying all the components for one, the pricing would be just under 20,000. But if I'm buying bulk, my bulk pricing is quite a bit better. It's going to be almost 5,000 less. So that's about as specific I can get right now.
Got it.
Can I get a quick question in here?
Sorry, before I finish, my goal has always been to provide a system that is about 2 times installed cost of the equivalent ICE engine. Because you have no ongoing costs and your fuel costs is quite a bit lower, and no maintenance, the life cycle, and I'm only using 1,000 hours for my life cycle comparison, there's no match.
All right. Somebody had a question.
Yes. I'm wondering if you have considered a folding wing option for some of your Part 103 airplanes. Boy, a lot of people would really go for that.
Actually, yes, we have. I didn't mention in my little blurb that I do all my newsletters as YouTube videos. And I have in one of those YouTube videos a whole blurb about including, AutoCAD stuff that shows how that wing mechanism works. So we want to make all of our high wing monoplanes wing foldable with this mechanism. Now, and wing foldable so that it not only just pivots backwards, but it rotates as well. So it would be 2 axis rotation.
Yeah, I think the perfect airplane would be one that the wings fold that you can put in a snowmobile trailer and drive to the Alvord and go flying. I flew a little Cole ultralight there that a friend Dennis has, and man, was that ever fun.
The main impediment to making a sale for me is whether somebody has a place to put the airplane.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the Pasmani PL4A's method of wing folding? It seems to match your criteria.
I haven't seen all of the designs. I'm basing mine on one that I saw at Oshkosh. And then, once I got the mechanics of it, it's just integrating it into the wing root and the into the cabins so that you're not bumping your head on something, or you're not trying to poke into a gas tank or something like that, and you've got enough structure that it can be manhandled a little bit. You're going to be out there by yourself. You're going to want to pull the wing out, and you're going to want to rotate it around without anybody else having to help you. That's my design goal.
Well, like I said, you might want to take a look at the PL4A. Laszlo Pazmani was an old Convair guy, so it's kind of a naval design in origin, but it seems to be very similar to what you're looking for.
You can see on the screen here is something that we've got there. This is the kind of concept that we're working with. So that
and obviously it has to be lightweight.
Oh, of course, that too. But yeah, because we're right on the cusp of being legal in the 103 category. If I go starting and adding a lot of structure, I'm adding weight, and I got to be careful there. But you can see the tube slides in and out through a Delrin bearing, and then basically that whole tube can rotate as well. So you need to pull the wing out far enough that you can rotate it freely without it impacting the fuselage. And then you can decide, if you rotate nose down, you have to deal with the struts. You have to take the struts completely off. If you rotate trailing edge down and then fold it back so that the bottom of the wing is out, then you can maybe leave your struts attached, and it makes it a little easier. It just works out whether you've got fuel tanks in the wing or not, and that's a big consideration.
Dave, you might want to put a plug in here for your YouTube channel, because I know you do your weekly or your monthly newsletters on it, and you've got the information about the new landing gear, the electrical power packs. You might go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, we've had to pivot just like everybody else. I still do have booths at Oshkosh, and we've been to, Sun and Fun, but you spend $10,000 US on 2 shows. I can reach a much more targeted audience by having a YouTube channel, and so I've invested in that. As you can see in the static photo of me, I've got a green screen behind me. I've built myself a YouTube studio in my son's old bedroom, and now I put out a weekly video that reaches up to 1,000 people who are very targeted people who have subscribed to my channel, and that's powerful. And so I would appreciate, if you're interested in our aircraft, go have a look, watch a bunch of video, watch them to the end. It helps us out. And, when we get enough subscribers and enough number of hours watched, we actually, it pays for itself. And that's, that always helps us on the bottom line.
All right, we've got a question that came in on the chat board, Dave, and I'm just going to read it. Any possibility your company would create a kit for the Mitchell wing, which it would be a wood skin version, anytime in the future? This was a wood fabric design originally that is no longer available as far as they know. Being one of maybe 2 aircraft, maybe 3 wooden aircraft kit manufacturers in the world, I tend to get this asked quite a bit. Can we take all the orphans on? I'm pretty happy with the stable that we've got, and with the Aria coming in, and possibly one other aircraft design that we're negotiating right now. You got to be careful you don't offer too much. And
we may have to pare down a couple of our own designs to try to make sure that we're not going in too many directions at once.
Hey, Dave, while you're there, can you talk a little bit more about the Aria? I think that caught a lot of people's attention.
It's a cute little airplane, and don't take that rendering for gospel. The original, it's a little bit artistic license in that. The original aircraft was designed by an Italian guy. It was the Asso X Jewel, and it was a wood design, but not that many got built because the plans were kind of crappy, and there was some known problems in the plans. Since then, an individual in France has cleaned the plans up. But he doesn't have any interest in offering kits. And we talked to him and said, hey, can we buy a set of your plans and then work it to kit it? And he gave us his blessing. And we changed a couple things on the design. One, we're adding the winglets, and the other thing was it had anhedral in the tail on the horizontal stabilizer, and we wanted to go to conventional with that. But other than that, except for working to go through a DFM exercise designed for manufacturing that takes every component and reviews it for how we can best make it, we're going to stick to a successful design. Very strong. It's got an 11G wing in the wood version.
What's the power plant on the Aria?
Predominantly, it's a 912, 80, or 100 horse, and we're going to be putting an electric propulsion package in it too. So it cruises. The cruise is at a high cruise at 178 mile an hour.
Hey, can you talk just a little bit about the level of skills required for a Fisher build? I mean, can somebody come in who's an absolute noob?
Most of the guys that build our aircraft are noobs. I get a lot of guys coming out of the modeling world. We build all of our Fisher aircraft are built the same way as you build a RC model. You take the plans, put them on the table, they're full scale, put plastic over top of them, and build the thing right on top. It's not that difficult at all. You don't need a lot of weird tools. You can get by with basic hand tools, a belt sander, and a decent compound miter saw. Everything else is glue it and clamp it. Very easy. The Aria, we're going to be going through that design for manufacturing and design for assembly process so that we can offer it as a super quick build, and so that people don't get into the 10 to 15 year GP4 build. We're very cognizant of that, and we want to make sure that what we offer cuts a lot of the time out. Like the main spar is multi-piece bent laminated piece that we'll build in a jig, except for the last couple of laminations, but the shape will already be established, and you'll just have to put the last two laminations on, clamp it, and you'll get the right the right angles. But we don't have to ship a 35-foot long crate.
Are you seeing any problems with the availability of wood species? Are you having to shift your engineering? How are you being affected by the materials?
Well, Sitka is becoming, wood unobtainium, at least at a reasonable cost. Right now, it's right around 4 times what I'm paying for pine. And I may find a knot in it or a pitch pocket, and I'm done. I have to scrap the whole thing. So we are at the moment working with an individual who is a DER, Designed Engineering Representative, who has full capability of design review and doing the engineering review for loads. And all of our aircraft models are going to be digitized. We've just got the FP202 just about done. That'll provide 3D models, better build manuals. And what we're doing is we're doing the load analysis as part of this to determine whether we can do a species change on these critical woods like Sitka.
Okay. Any other questions out there from the audience? I've got the Fisher web or the YouTube channel up here, and you can see some examples of the folding wing. I'd encourage you to go back and look through some of these. They're doing something interesting with a bungee replacement on the landing gear side. And Dave, I don't know if you want to talk about any of those developments that you're doing. Seems like you got a lot of little gadgets that you're working on.
Basically, I used the channel to highlight some of the products that we have developed over the years and offer so that people can better understand them. I took the time to, like, for instance, on the bungee or the spring replacement for the bungees, I had a customer call me and say, I bought it from you, but I don't really know how to put it together. Based on what you sent me. And so I took the time and I did a full video that explained it all and then posted that as part of our newsletter. So that's kind of how I do it. We try to talk about flight experiences. We try to showcase builders' aircraft. We try to, showcase the product line we have and projects we're working on.
Okay. Any other questions out there? I'm looking for the mute buttons to come off. Hey, out of curiosity, Dave, how long do one of your builds take? Most of us are experienced builders with at least one aircraft under our belt, maybe metal, maybe composite. What do you think?
Well, I usually say that if you're retired and you can work at it consistently, you can have one of our ultralights built in and covered and flying in 12 months. I never put an hour limit on it because everybody works at different paces, and you guys all know that's crap anyway. But, if you're going to build one of our two-place aircraft and you've never built one before, it's easily done in 24 months. If you're going to, my shop manager built most of a Tiger Moth in 6 months in the shop. We have extra wing rib jigs, so he's built 16 in a day. You know what you're doing, you can go at it. But I would say reasonably 18 to 24 months for a two-place aircraft, and you could do one of the ultralights in a year.
Great, thank you. I'll wrap up with questions here. If we don't have any more questions, we'll shift back. Anyone else? Well, Dave, I want to thank you for giving us that great presentation, that great overview. As I've explained to you, we're kind of we as a collective group are kind of looking at some group projects, and Ernie Marino, one of our the lead on our builders group, he and I have been deliberating what we could do on a low and slow and 3-axis true airplane rather than just an ultralight per se. So, I mean, a lot of the things you've presented to us make a lot of sense, and they reinforce what we're seeing about the low and slow market and interest as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me know if you're interested, and we'll give you a good deal.
That's what we love to hear. That's what we love. Hey, just so you guys sell 4 Pellinis, right? What are you recommending anything in terms of the 4 strokes rather than the 2 strokes?
There's a holy grail.
I probably should have started off with that earlier.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into that war. To be quite honest with you, I'm pivoting much more toward the electric than trying to find the elusive 25-pound, 50 horsepower 4-stroke.
That makes sense, especially for ultralight flying.
Yeah, it's the way of the future. The battery technologies are only going to get better and better, and if it meets like I said before, if it meets the need of the pilot, and it meets 95% of the market need, then the other people want to travel cross country. Well, they'll just build a nice engine aircraft.
Got it. Okay. If no one else has any, I'll open the floor. Do we have any general business? Any final questions? I do want to, again, encourage, we really need flying stories. We need builder stories. We need photos. We need money. Flying Club needs money. So there's lots of things going on. And just, I need to finish up. There was a discussion about having a Christmas holiday party. Based upon what's happening, we're just not going to do that. So in December, we're going to have a regular meeting on the second Saturday, just like today's meeting. So we'll have a featured speaker, and we will not be having a holiday party. We won't be having a get together. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, our plan, the board's plan right now, is in 2021 that we're going to figure out what the new normal looks like, but we're anticipating the fly-in to be on, Young Eagles to be on. All the things that we typically have done in the past will be probably restarted, maybe with a little different spin, maybe with a little different flavor, but that's our goal. But yeah, still a lot of stuff going on, and we will be reaching out to those of you for some additional help on the different projects that we've got taking place. Any closing comments? Anyone out there?
Hey, Mike, this is Jim Hubley down in Camp Verde, Arizona.
Hey, Jim. I hope you're enjoying the weather down there.
Oh, it's beautiful. Hey, if Ernie is still on, Chuck Stark and Marv Manley are planning to leave here Monday morning to drive to Independence to pick up or potentially pick up the Kolb. They'll have a large trailer, and they should be there. They're estimating a little before noon on Wednesday, and they'll need some help loading disassembling and loading the Kolb into the trailer. So some of the guys can give them a hand. I know they'll appreciate it.
Ernie, you're muted.
We're already on board for this, and we're ready at our end.
Okay, earlier you mentioned that you thought they'd be there on Thursday, but they're planning to be there a little before noon. They're going to stay overnight in Medford, so the time it takes to drive from Medford to Independence, they'll be there.
Okay, we'll be ready for them.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ernie,
Anyone else?
yeah, I was just this is Steve. I just wanted Ernie. I'll coordinate the timing with you for Wednesday when I come over.
This is Ernie. Al Cleveland, if you would give me a call on the landline at your convenience.
Can do. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Just so you know, presidents at Christmas time, remember you have, since this is online and not in the meeting, you have to wear your Santa gear, have to have the tree in the background, have to set the face, set the modem here.
Ho, 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 ho. We'll see what we can do.
Well, fella,
All right.
if I can break in for a sec.
Yeah, go ahead, break in.
Yeah, it's Dave. I'm going to head out. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to me ramble on. If you've got any questions about our products or things that are coming out, go ahead and give us a call at 519-933-2055. I'm always at the end of the phone, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Dave, for your presentation, and make sure you and your family and everything have a great holiday, okay?
You too. See ya.
Thanks
I got
again.
my camera
Bye-bye.
working.
It is.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks. All right. Anyone else? We're going to wrap up. Going once, going twice. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the weekend. We're going to sign off, and we will have the recording available on the website probably within a day or so. Take care. Have a great weekend.